Hello, everyone. Happy Monday night. We have a lot happening across the country and in Cochrane tonight. Their meeting is about to start in about 11 minutes in the town of Cochrane, Alberta, and they will be voting on withdrawing from the United Nations flagship net zero program, the Partners for Climate Protection program, similar to the town of Thorold last year. And I thought that we could watch that together because I'm going to be sitting here watching it anyways. And while we're waiting for that, I thought this would be a great opportunity just to kind of share all the events that led up to this in the town of Cochrane. So we're going to start with the delegation by Ron Voss in February to his council, basically letting them know that they are participating in this program. And the council's reaction and how most of them didn't realize that they were a part of the program, if not all of them, although I think at least one of them knows. And I think we'll find out who that one is tonight, which is always fun. And then a couple of weeks ago, there was a notice of motion to withdraw from the program, as well as to put some safeguards in place against partnering with international lobbyist groups like this, and just another great example of what councils on the local level can do to protect us from overreach when it comes to globalism. And then we will see what happens tonight. So stay tuned. I'm just going to give everyone a minute to pile in. Please share this out with everyone, and we're going to start in about 4 minutes. Looks like my kids are just about to walk in the door. So I'm going to pause it for a moment, and we'll go from there. I'm going to go live. There's an important meeting for the town of Cochrane tonight. They're voting to withdraw from the Partners for Climate Protection program in about 5 minutes. Did they get ice cream? Did they go swimming?
Oh, yeah.
Are they going to hang out tomorrow?
Sonia School still has dentist at 11. That's all for days.
Very cool. Hello, Evelyn. I'm just doing a live. We're going to watch the town of Cochrane hopefully withdraw from a big program. If anyone wants to say hi.
Nice to be done from home.
Yes, I do get to do that from home with my air conditioner. Woohoo! And for anyone watching, we'll be in Dufferin County tomorrow night. I'll be there speaking to their landowners association. And you can join us at the Laurel Church in Laurel. And then at their council chambers, which I believe is located in Orangeville, on Thursday morning. So you can check that out. I'll post the details. And yeah, I kind of knew that there'd be chaos at this time, but it's okay.
Yeah, we gotta go.
All right. So for people watching, we are going to be tuning in to the town of Cochrane. So I'm just going to get this started for everyone. Again, we're going to watch the deputation by Ron Voss in February, and then the notice of motion from 2 weeks ago to withdraw. And then we're going to watch live the town of Cochrane, maybe some delegations about this from the community, and a good debate, and so on. So let's get into it. Share my screen. All right, guys. So this is an article on the ICLEI Substack. It has the full write-up, and you can find all the links there. And I recommend that you share this out with your councillors. And it kind of goes into all the history and the links that you will need to review what Ron Voss put together. It was very professional, as well as his presentation to council, his report that he submitted, and everything. So we're going to start by watching the initial delegation, and he did a very professional job. Just make sure everyone can see and hear. Excellent. Okay, so let's get it started. So obviously this is a presentation and the councillors' questions afterward.
Cochrane's participation in the Partners for Climate Protection program, is it serving local or global priorities? I guess I gotta find my keys here.
Please let me know if you can hear okay.
So over 20 years ago, in April 2004, the then Cochrane Town Council unanimously adopted a motion to participate as a member of the PCP program. I suspect a lot, if not all of you, are unaware of this and wondering, what is the PCP program? So let me give you a little bit of background. First, it's important to note that this program was launched 30 years ago in 1994 as a joint initiative of the Canadian subsidiary of ICLEI, the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, together with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. These are two organizations that have been a driving force behind the adoption of climate action plans across Canada. The PCP program receives financial support from ICLEI Canada and as well from the FCM's Green Municipal Fund, which in turn is generously funded by the Trudeau federal government. Thus, the GMF leverages a $1.65 billion and growing investment from the Government of Canada to give municipalities the tools to accelerate their transition to a resilient, net zero sustainable future and help Canada reach its 2050 targets for net zero emissions. As far as ICLEI, an organization founded by the United Nations in 1990, apart from membership fees, it receives funding from a variety of sources, including the Government of Canada, the European Union, private investors like Google, and the United Nations. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities includes more than 2,100 cities and communities from coast to coast, representing over 92% of Canadians, shaping the national agenda. 98% of the Alberta municipal population, including all the members of once was the CMRB, are members of the FCM. The FCM represents itself as the national voice for Canada's local governments. However, as I've come to understand, this organization, offering programs aligned with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, should more properly be called the United Nations voice for Canada's local governments. Offering programs aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and pressuring municipalities to prioritize international mandates over locally defined priorities, eroding their autonomy and independence. As declared here on an FCM banner, local action leads to national results. The globalists understand full well the importance of their tentacles reaching down to our local municipal governments, large and small, to achieve their objectives. Justin Trudeau has been a regular attendee at FCM's annual meetings in appreciation of his good ally, who he has richly endowed through the Municipal Green Fund. Now, Trudeau's appreciation of FCM's efforts to support municipalities with respect to sustainability and local climate change action is understandable, given that speaking in 2017 about penetrating the cabinets of various nations with World Economic Forum young global leaders, WEF Chairman Klaus Schwab announced that he was very proud of Justin Prime Minister Trudeau and that half or even more than half of his cabinet are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. The other partner managing and shepherding the Partners for Climate Protection program is the Canadian subsidiary of ICLEI. ICLEI started with the World Congress of Local Governments for Sustainable Future meeting that was held at the United Nations in 1990 and describes itself, quote, as a global network of more than 2,500 local and regional governments committed to sustainable urban development. ICLEI is active in more than 125 countries. Its Canadian office is located in Toronto, and its international headquarters, World Secretariat, is located in Bonn, Germany. ICLEI Canada speaks of the importance of local action to achieve its objectives. Thus, local action moves the world, and global action starts where? Locally. Are we getting the clear message as to how the globalists operate and accomplish their goals? So let's meet the ICLEI staff at their Toronto office. Now, I don't like that our town would be subject to the whims of an unelected, unaccountable, entitled group of people located in Toronto, Ontario, which in turn is subject to an administration located in Bonn, Germany, that is aligned with the United Nations. The PCP program leadership boasts that over 500 Canadian municipalities, representing 70% of the Canadian population, are participating in the PCP program. 25 Alberta municipalities are listed as members, 3 of which are part of the then Calgary Metropolitan Regional Board, namely the City of Calgary, of course, which as well is a member of ICLEI Canada, and also the town of Okotoks and the town of Cochrane. The PCP program provides a 5-step milestone framework for municipalities to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and align with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Namely, step 1, create an inventory, then set a target, then develop a plan, implement the plan, monitor your impact, then repeat. While this program is voluntary, both the FCM, ICLEI, and the Government of Canada explicitly waive liability for the outcomes of the program. Representatives from ICLEI Canada and FCM form the PCP Secretariat to guide and support municipalities as they move through the milestone framework implementing changes. A question: did the people of Cochrane elect these people to determine the priorities of our community? In the spring of 2023, I wrote to the PCP Secretariat asking about the status of Cochrane's participation in the PCP program. And I received a reply from the Secretariat member shown here on bottom left, Mr. Adler Gross, who represents ICLEI Canada. He called me Ross, everybody does. According to Mr. Adler Gross, him, quote, the town of Cochrane is indeed a PCP member and has achieved milestone 3. That is, has developed a plan for both community and corporate. However, Cochrane is listed as inactive as we have not received any submissions in recent years, which may be the reason for it not showing up on the map. On recently contacting the town administration about the program, I was informed, quote, while we may be listed on the website, we're not active participants, nor do we have any dedicated resources committed towards this effort. I suspect that the reason that Cochrane is not currently an active participant in advancing the PCT program, currently stuck at the milestone 3 stage, is the departure of Mr. Devin LaFlèche, who was hired by the town as the town's sustainability and transit coordinator in 2018, a position that was partly funded for 2 years through a program of Alberta's Municipal Climate Change Action Center. His mandate as municipal energy manager included a responsibility to implement greenhouse gas emission reducing projects. In September 2022, he left the town of Cochrane to take up a position with Rocky View County. The $103,800 study to potentially electrify the cold buses, jointly funded by the town of Cochrane, carrying $20,760 of the cost, and the Trudeau government carrying the remainder of the cost through its zero emission transit fund, was his parting gift to the town of Cochrane. Thankfully, the implementation of electrification was deemed infeasible at present. With that, I'd like to conclude by recommending that a councillor at a regular council meeting makes a motion to withdraw Cochrane from its participation in the Partners for Climate Protection program, that is, making it permanently inactive in this program, and thereby focusing on locally driven priorities unencumbered by ideological thinking. And with that, I conclude. Thank you for your attention.
So I just wanted to pause it there for a moment, and we will listen to the councillor's reaction. But I wanted to say, great job, Ron Voss, and just fix this here for a second. There we go. He did such a great job. Everything he said in that presentation was 100% true. You can use that in your presentations to your councils. If you are on that list, the Partners for Climate Protection program, I'll put a link in the chat here, and you can double check and see if you are listed, your municipality is listed as a dot on the map, then it likely is active, and if it's on the side, it's likely inactive. And we're going to talk about that a little bit after we hear the councillor's reaction to this presentation. So let's have a listen there, and I'll grab that link, and you guys can check to see if your community is listed as a member of the United Nations flagship net zero program.
Thank you.
Obviously, the applause dies down. Thanks, Mr. Ross. That was interesting and informative. Turn to my council colleagues for questions or comments. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation, Mr. Voss. I have just one question for administration, which I would assume might come back to me at a different time than tonight, because the information might not all be before you, but I'd just like to hear more about what Cochrane's current status in the PCP program is. I believe I just heard through the presentation that we were once signed up to it. 2014 is what I heard here, and that we're no longer participants in it. Thank you. 2004, I wrote that down. That's my fault. So just to get an update of where we currently sit with the PCP program in Cochrane, it's the first I've ever heard of it, and if there's anything to even withdraw from. If I could just hear
Councillor Wilson, I can answer that question, as I was the one who responded to Mr. Voss. We're currently not active in this space with the PCP. That is from 2004, so 21 years ago. The application that Mr. Lefebvre worked on was a separate application, not directly associated with this. We don't have anybody actively working in this space, and that reflects the comments that I shared with Mr. Voss previously.
Thank you. And a quick follow-up on that. If a councillor wants to make this motion, is there anything to withdraw from? I suppose we could formally contact this organization to withdraw our name from it. Is that an actual item?
We can certainly explore that and report back to council if that was your wish.
That would be my wish. I'd be interested in that. Like the presenter tonight, this sort of speech does bother me a lot. I mentioned it during our LUD land use bylaw and vision document, where there was a few mentions of things with climate change, and I believe net zero emissions also in the vision document, and that caused me to not vote for it. And anywhere I see that in our local town documents, it concerns me, because I also agree that, how was it phrased during the presentation? I thought you hit it right on the head here. International mandates over local priorities. And I think this is outside of the municipal context, and it causes me alarm to think what outcomes might come if we're focusing on net zero emissions for any of our policy documents in Cochrane. And so I think it would be useful just to come back to us if the group agrees to hear if there is something to withdraw from. I'd be interested in withdrawing from it. I'd be willing to make that motion. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Voss and Dog with a Bone.
Thank you.
Councillor Federico.
Thank you, Mr. Voss. To be honest, I didn't even know that we were a member
Well, I expected that.
or a part of this. So I guess I had some questions like, why are we on the website to begin with? I don't necessarily like tying it to a particular person, right? That might have been a staff member, because I don't even know if that person even necessarily understood why they have been tied to this project. I do agree with Councillor Wilson. I like to hear some more information from administration as to us even being a partner. I don't even understand why we're a partner. Obviously, I was not on council in 2004. I have no idea why we've remained a partner since 2004, considering I've only been elected since 2017. I've got some concerns, and I guess I just want some answers to those concerns. And it has nothing to do with, perhaps you brought up a lot of good points, but I need to understand the greater context of why we were a member to begin with. And that I'm not sure exactly. So until we get that information, I am thankful that you brought this forward, because it does tie into one of the many reasons of why we're on some sort of boards, committees, that this council seems to have no idea why we're actually a part of them to begin with. So I think that's a starting block for me, understanding why we're there. And if we get that information, we can move on.
Anything else? I don't see any other comments from my colleagues. I just would like to
Could I
thank
have
you
just a
again.
minute to respond about not really being that active?
Sure.
Okay. So
So they go on a little bit there, but I think we'll move on. You guys get the gist of it. The presentation was very well done back in February. The councillors that spoke didn't know about the program. They didn't know that they were members. They didn't know why they were on the website. So that is kind of the state where we are in right now with this program and what we're learning from Cochrane tonight. Just going to show you. And the meeting has started. It is live. You can go to my article up above. There's a link to it if you want to watch it live right now. I'm just kind of going through the history so we can catalog this all in one spot. And I'm just going to show you quickly the Partners for Climate Protection Program website. And you see here on their membership page, they say that they have over 500 municipalities participating, 70% of the Canadian population represented. But what we are finding is that there isn't really 522 municipalities that are knowingly and actively participating. So in order to be part of this program, you do need to have one staff member and one council member signed up as contact people for this file. So tonight in Cochrane, I think what we're going to find is that there is somebody on that council that knows about the program. So let's find Cochrane here. Why am I not? You guys are going to find out that my geography skills are great. All right, Lethbridge, Cochrane is up. There we go. Isn't Cochrane over on this side? Hinton, it's down. It's over here. Kenmore. Oh my goodness. I thought it was right over there somewhere. I'm not sure. anyways, you can see that it's at, oh, I know, it's not actually on the map. That's right. You have to look on the side in order to find it. So if we go to Alberta here, which one is Alberta? There, you can see on the side, all of these communities in Alberta are signed up for the program. So there's Cochrane. Yeah, there we go. My point is that the ones that aren't shown as dots on the map likely don't know. They're likely similar to Cochrane and they don't know that they're part of the program. And that means that our going in there and just pointing that out to them is going to be enough to kind of get them thinking, how is it that we're signed up for a program with partners that are founded by the United Nations and that we're being kind of dictated to by bureaucrats in Ottawa? And I don't think across the country that a lot of local councillors are going to support that idea, especially if they've been part of a program and unaware of it. And the other point I wanted to make is that the Partners for Climate Protection Programs advocates boast about the fact that they have over 500 municipalities signed up, but in reality, it doesn't seem like most of those municipalities' councils know that they're signed up. So there's an issue there. All right, what we're going to do next is go to a very quick notice of motion that took place last 2 weeks ago by Councillor Patrick Wilson in the town of Cochrane. And he was the one who said that he would be willing to move that motion. And my understanding is that Ron Voss just followed up with him a couple times and the motion has moved. And let's listen to that. And again, I'm just going to go back to this article that has all the links. Notice of motion. Oh, you can read the notice of motion right there. What we want to do is go here. Okay.
Yes. And you're reading it into the record tonight for dates. Future meeting.
Right, so simply read it into the record, and I've got a little bit of a post-amble just in case anybody wants to do a look at our website before we get into the debate in 2 weeks. I just want to give everybody an opportunity. So the recommended action, the council direct administration to cease participation in the ICLEI program or similar externally driven initiatives unless explicitly mandated by our elected body and after full disclosure of the funding sources, objectives, and implications. The council directs administration to develop and implement clear guidelines restricting participation in externally funded initiatives, ensuring transparent reporting and all collaborations with external entities, most especially through grant funding initiatives, and further the council affirms its commitment to democratic transparency, autonomy, and prioritizing local interests over multinational corporate or external agendas. And so the executive summary kind of gets to what am I actually getting at here? Resolution to withdraw from the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, which is the ICLEI, or the Federation of Canadian Municipal Partners for Climate Protection Program, the PCP. This was brought to my attention, and it's all of our attention, at a February 18th, 2025 delegation presentation to Town Council from the citizen group Dog with a Bone Society. It has gained my attention that the town of Cochrane is a member of both ICLEI and FCM Partners for Climate Protection Program. It has also come to my attention the TOC has previously undertaken initiatives linked with this PCP program. Electric buses and charging stations in particular come to mind. And I suggest that we prioritize local decision-making over international mandates and the reallocation of resources towards initiatives that better serve the immediate need of Cochrane residents. And my not so long post-amble here that I just want to give everybody the opportunity for is that there's a website that was brought to my attention. Councillor Reid brought it to my attention. That's KICLEI, KICLEI, Canada website. It's self-described a non-politically affiliated Canadian Citizens Action Group funded by citizens through membership, small donations, volunteer contributions. If anybody would want to have a look there. And I only bring them up because I'm going to quote from them a little bit during our debates time in 2 weeks. And the final conclusion on the website that I just wanted to read out here is the PCP program operates much like a corporate marketing scheme, offering free entry, but guiding municipalities into costly long-term commitments. While municipal environmental stewardship is important, councillors must distinguish between genuine community-driven environmental initiatives and corporate-backed frameworks designed to extract taxpayer money. By recognizing the financial traps hidden in free, quote-unquote, climate programs, municipalities can make informed, independent decisions that serve local priorities rather than global corporate interests. And just going through that website, I realized that anything I had to say on the matter has been said much better and more eloquently than I could, and so I'll be using it during our debate in 2 weeks as well. So I want to give everybody the opportunity to read.
Okay, thank you. Forward to talking about that in weeks.
Okay. Pretty cool, eh? So that is the whole point of ICLEI, is to articulate these issues in a way that makes sense to everyone in Canada, really, right? We don't want international lobbyists influencing our local councils, our provincial or our federal governments. And in particular, the local council is so important. It's the closest to our daily lives and, you know, our land use and our businesses and all that good stuff. So really excited. And now let us tune in live to what's happening in Cochrane right now at this very moment. So I'm going to share the screen and public hearing, June 23rd, 2025.
The purpose of tonight's public hearing is to receive input and comments on bylaw 14, 2025, Historic Downtown Land Use Amendment Direct Control District.
Okay.
First list. And when we've gotten through all of the names on the list, I will ask if there's anyone in the gallery that wishes to speak.
The area now designated as historic versus the original charity not being ready.
We expanded our basement access is right beside this located original application.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. So it looks like they are not quite ready to get into it. Let me just have a quick look at the agenda. Sorry, guys. Regular council meeting. Okay, so I'm going to share this tab with you. We can figure this out together. I'm just figuring out when they are going to have this debate and discussion. So this is the agenda for tonight's meeting. We got the right day. It should be the right time. I think we're 2 hours behind here in Ontario, so it should be, we know it started. So I see it is right here, the notice of motion. All right, let's go back and figure out where they are in that agenda. Oh, it starts in 21 minutes. So right now they're just having a public hearing about another bylaw. Aha. Sorry about that, guys. It said it started at 5:30, so I thought we were behind schedule. All right. That's good. So if you guys want to go grab a coffee or take a break, I'm just going to leave this. I'm going to put a banner up and let people know that we will start at 8:15 p.m. Mountain Time. Or sorry, let's say 8:15 in 21 minutes. In 21 minutes, this meeting's going to start, and then it's probably going to take a little bit of time to go through it. So I'm not going to start a new live. I'm just going to wait a little bit, and I kind of have some work to do. I'm getting ready. We're going to do some presentations in Dufferin County tomorrow and on Thursday. So I'll be speaking with the Ontario Landowners Association at the Laurel Church in Laurel, which is just about 30 minutes outside Orangeville, regarding Dufferin County. And I think people are coming from Grey County and Simcoe County as well. To that meeting, I think that there is room for about 50 people. That's probably going to be pretty full already, but you are welcome to come. We can always pull out some more chairs, and it'd be great to see you all. Starts at 7:30, I believe, but maybe show up for 7, and I will stay until the end. Make sure we talk to everyone who's interested in learning more. And I know that they've done delegations just recently in to the county of Grey Bruce, and they're looking at getting on the agenda for the county of Simcoe. Lots of smaller townships have had delegations in Simcoe County, which is really good. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. We have a meeting coming up next Monday for our national Zoom meeting. You can register on our website there and become a member of this amazing movement. Sorry, the heat has kind of like sucked the energy out of me today. So, check your comments there. Yeah, Andrew, great question. So is there a benefit to maybe starting provincial subgroups of ICLEI? Absolutely, there is. I know on our ICLEI Canada Facebook page, you freaked me out there when you said the mic, Andrew. I hope you all can hear me. Looks like my mic is on. So provincial groups, absolutely. We have chat groups on the ICLEI Canada Facebook page. I'm not sure how well we're able to monitor those. We did go through the the members list. We have about 2,000 contacts across the country, and we know where you are. So we're able to kind of group those people together. We do have our assistant working on that right now. She's going through that members list, and we'll start reaching out to everyone. First, she'll start with the people who have indicated that they are eager to volunteer for this work. My video is echoing, or the video I was showing was echoing. It seems like we're having some sound difficulties. Let me just check. Okay, so I think I had my mic muted. So we should test that out. Let's test that out before they start in 15 minutes here, so that we can get good sound live from Cochrane tonight. Thank you, Andrew, for pointing that out. I'm just going to run a test. Okay. Let's test the sound here.
We would like to add that in if possible.
Sound check. Mic
And
1 2 1 2. Test.
basically, in closing, that is kind of where I'm at. And with this location of this facility, if it isn't allowed for this lot,
How is that?
where is it allowed to go? Because there is no land for this facility in the town of Cochrane. The town is on.
Is the sound better now?
There literally is not
Echoing.
a lot
Okay, what if
to
I mute my mic? I'm going to mute it
this
now.
Facility, which will employ approximately 12 more people to the town, and obviously taxes. And one part I did not mention is our average per store injected into the community is usually about $50,000 in.
Is it still echoing?
Contribution back to the community. I'm all about giving back. I've been very blessed in the province of Alberta, and it's all about hard work and making dreams happen. And I have a pay it forward attitude. And to me, if a community is being good to me, I like to give back to the community.
Other questions at this time? You both did great. By the way, if you haven't been doing this for a while, Mr. Hall, you did okay.
It's been a while.
Appreciate you engaging in our process. So we'll go to the speakers list now. But like I said at the beginning, any of the questions that are asked or anything that arises, you have an opportunity to come up at the end to clarify and have another line of questions from council.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Sorry, guys. I'm just
First up on the speakers list is Mr. Lyle Balmer.
just confused where they're at on this agenda. So I'm going to look at the agenda again.
My clock started as soon as I stood up.
It hasn't started yet.
Hello, and thank you for letting me speak to you tonight. My name is Lyle Balmer. I'm the chair of the Cochrane Society for Housing Options. CSHO owns and operates 35 affordable housing units in Cochrane. 21 of those are at the homes.
Okay, so for the sake of not missing anything, I think what I'm going to do is just allow the meeting to play out. You guys can get an idea of what a municipal council meeting is like. If you haven't been to your local council meetings, the kinds of things that they talk about. And that way, when the presentations start and the discussion starts about withdrawing from the Partners for Climate Protection Program, we'll be able to be there. So thank you, Andrew, for helping me. And I really appreciate that. And I'm just going to go make a coffee and listen as well. And I will come back and comment on things as we get into this evening in Cochrane. So stay tuned.
That building, which is the property just directly to the south of this property in question here. Our tenants in that facility are families, they're seniors, they're retired military vets, they're people with children. They come from all walks of life. We consider them family. Some of them I would even call my friends. I have 3 reasons that I'd like to bring in front of you tonight to think about. It's difficult to speak even intelligently about this because this is the first time I'm really seeing anything on this. In fact, when I came back off vacation, if somebody hadn't have said to me, you want to go look at that sign that's buried in the bushes on the property, I would never have known about this. And I thought we had a process that neighbors would be notified, but I can't find sign of a letter. Not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying I can't find being notified. So I would like to have a peek at that with administration sometime in the near future. My first reason for being against this development on this property is because the blue building, the homestead, is less than 13 meters away from this business. We have at least 6 tenants who have balconies directly overlooking the business, and they will, for the rest of their lives, listen to car washes and traffic from, I think it was 8 until 6 days a week, and 9 till 5 on Sunday. And what that does to them is the noise, the overspray, and the traffic reduces their enjoyment of their home. And one of the things that the presenter reminded me is that our home is our most important asset. They don't get to continue to enjoy that to the same way they do today. The second issue is traffic. The slide that's conveniently up there still, the current business or the business that was there, the computer business, accessed his business through an easement through our parking lot along the east side of that fence. Not an ideal situation, but it wasn't onerous because we saw probably 4 to 5 cars a day through there. I can't imagine how we're going to stick handle over 200 cars a day. I believe that's how many we could on a busy day go through there. Those cars, by the way, will travel within a meter of my playground where we have children playing. I don't see that as being ideal. The third reason is just simply location. This is a bad idea in my mind for the 1A entrance westbound into Cochrane. As you hit the historic downtown core, you come across a car wash, would not be my first choice. There's going to be, we hope, a seniors facility across the street. You have our facility directly to the south. I don't see this as being a great use of space. I think when I look at the presentation, I think that's an attractive looking business, not at this location. That's the end of it. I am pleased to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Ballmer. Not seeing any questions from council.
Appreciate it. I'll close by saying, please think hard about this. We have a lot of families that live directly over top of that piece of property, and this is not a great idea. Nice looking business, wrong location. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Ken Morris, I see not presenting. Okay. That exhausts the speakers list. I'll just call on anyone else in the gallery that wishes to speak for or against. Okay, please come to the podium. State your name. We can get you on the record.
My name is Randy Harris. Most people know me as Radar. I'm ex-military. I moved to Cochrane specifically because Cochrane stands for an ideology that I've been watching and being a part of ever since I was a kid. So every time we had time off, leave or whatever, I'd come in through and check out Cochrane because it was a pretty cool place. When it came time for me to settle, I picked Cochrane for one reason, and it has an ideology. It has an integration, not just with the environment, but with the people. It's unique, and I love it. It's great. It's why I moved here. And it took me 8 months to get into this place. It's very serviceable to me because I can walk. Not necessarily do I have to take my vehicle all over the place because it's right downtown. It's awesome. I'm a part of all of the place, like the lights and the outhouse races. That's kind of why I wanted downtown. I'm not married and I don't have kids, so I always wanted to be surrounded by the community, be a part of it. One of my balconies is overlooking that plot of land, and I love the trees. I love that because then I get to see the trees and the coulee wall, as well as the hang gliders and it just sets a really great example. So I just thought I'd say that I don't have any doubt in my mind that this place would be successful. It really would be successful. And that means a lot more traffic, a lot more sort of like disruption type thing. I like it because it is as close as I can get to the downtown core without a lot of the busy parts. That's why I didn't pick like a suburb or a little bit further out. I like being able to walk a couple blocks down and saying hi to a lot of the friends and family that I've met. So on that note, thank you for listening. Just thought I'd put my 2 cents in.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. I don't see any questions. Is there anyone else in the gallery wishing to speak? Okay, please come forward.
Hi, my name is Brenda Tennant, and I have been a resident of Cochrane for coming up to 41 years now. And I am a resident of the homestead, and my suite also faces the north onto this property that is looking to be developed. And I am quite concerned about the noise level, particularly with a car wash. I'm sure we've all been through a car wash. We know the sound it makes. There is already a significant amount of noise from the highway, and people just cutting through that property, through that driveway. So that's my biggest concern is the car wash and the noise that it would make. And I think that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I will call again. Anyone in the gallery wishing to speak tonight? I can't see behind the pillar, but I don't see anyone moving back there. Okay, I'm going once, twice, 3 times. Okay, we'll go back to the applicant. Do you guys want an opportunity to address anything that you heard in the hearing, or council, do you have any questions of the applicant?
I appreciate everyone's input, and I understand everyone's concerns. Some of the main ones I just wrote down: traffic noise. As far as traffic noise, I don't think anything's going to be there as far as excessive noise than what you already receive now from Highway 1A. The comment of 200 cars a day, I only wish it would be 200 cars a day, but it is not. It would be anywhere from 40 to 50 is our average on a good day. I understand the concept of looking out over your balcony. I'm very big on the aesthetics of a building and the look, with proper landscaping and proper placement of trees. I believe the look can be achieved. I think the look that we will present is a lot more aesthetically pleasing to look at than what's currently there now. No offense to Randy, but they are derelict buildings right now, and I think it would actually, with working with the town and landscaping look of the building, I believe that problem can be resolved at some point in time. I know, there are balconies and they're facing that way, but at some point in time, something has to be built on that lot. And for the people that have balconies, maybe it's a 4-story complex that goes there and you lose your view completely to the north. That's a possibility. The car wash, I can fully respect that. And we could obviously do research on decibel levels, and with the world of technology, I'm sure that we can get decibel readings down to something very, very reasonable. And that's all up for discussion. Our main business is not the wash. I would like to bring it in because I think it's complementary to what we do. And the biggest concern I hear is this easement. And I know it's a real tender soft spot for many people. And I know Randy is pushed and knows the importance of it to these other lots. I do have a way to work around it if that is a big block for people. I heard the playground, if we could reduce the traffic and the playground can actually grow in size at the FCS facility, well, I can look at that too. I'm willing to work with the community. And I said this when I first had my meeting with the town. I'm not here to fight my way in. I want to be welcomed in. And if people dislike me, well, I don't want to be there. Why would you want to go where you're not wanted? So I'm not out for a fight. I'm out to work with people. And if anyone has personal concerns, and I'm free, anyone can have my phone number, they can have a talk, I'll have a meeting. I understand it's people's homes, and we all got to get along, but we also have to grow. Towns have to grow.
I like his attitude.
Answer some of those questions.
Yeah, I think you did. And I think we have one from Councillor here, Councillor McFadden.
Yes, thank you very much. And so kind of what I was hearing was, concerns particularly about the car wash. You said you'd respond to the decibel piece, but when you said you're expecting, 30 to 40 upwards slightly for customers through that, that's for the oil change shop,
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct.
And so I know how popular our car washes are and in demand in Cochrane, and I could see that. I can really feel that would be a concern for traffic, because our current car washes, people on a nice day line up on the street, and it causes problems. So yeah, so I don't know if you have, I guess my question at the end of the day is do you have forecasted numbers for the car wash? Because my experience of car washes in Cochrane is they're busy places.
I don't have that. I could get that for you. I based it off of what's going to be going through the oil change facility. So you're probably correct. That number would probably increase. But I also like to add back to that. If the design could redirect the flow of traffic so that easement can go away. And I'm sure I'm the only business that would be willing to do that, as far as, because I know that easement is not going to go away to any other sale. But if I could make it work, I would just like that people consider that.
Thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. You've generated two questions with me. One was the easement you were just speaking of. Is that the laneway that continues to the south?
That's correct.
To the west of the current building?
That's correct.
And who currently owns that, or who controls that laneway? I don't understand that portion of this project.
That is an easement that was put on again in 1995 to ensure that traffic flow through the downtown corridor would not be hindered for those two properties. So basically the rights to use that is designated to the two lots, 217 and 221 Second Avenue West.
So it's shared by both yourself and the current and the FCSS property owners?
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And then I also had a question about, should this project be granted to move forward, the transition zone between the current playground and then where the cars are coming through, what's that to look like, likely to look like with fencing and landscaping, et cetera? What, will there be any barrier between that, or I'm not clear on how it currently looks as it is?
It would currently just stay the way it is. Because it's there now. It's designed for that. It was designed around the drive-through of that current facility.
Okay, could you just elaborate what currently sits there then, as I look at
Randy,
that?
could I suggest you perhaps point out for council where exactly the playground is?
Okay,
If you use the
playground
cursor.
is back in this area right here. And there, I can't remember if there's fencing on the playground.
There, I've got the cursor on the.
Thank you, there we go.
Yeah, so the playground is right, thank you, whoever's working the most, that's perfect. So that's where the playground is, and the traffic flow is on the other side of that playground, going straight down through basically like a back alley is what it was
And
designated as.
it's currently fenced now.
It's currently fenced, thank
Yeah.
you. And then on the, so that helps me answer that. And then on the southernmost area of your property there that is adjacent to the FCSS building, it has the
You're talking about, see if I can do this.
the
Along
line. Yeah, I'm just wondering what's currently there. Is there a fence there? Is there?
in here,
Yes.
currently there is it's an old wooden fence, but it's mainly carrageenan trees
Okay,
that go along this entire area.
okay, and that's the plan to remain that way, should it be
No,
move forward?
that would be all new landscaping, new fencing, because right now it's a dilapidated wood fence.
That fence has probably been there 70 years.
Okay, thank you very much. I was just trying to envision what the final
Yeah,
product
so that
would
would
look
all
like.
be
Okay.
upgraded to something aesthetically pleasing and architecturally controlled.
Okay, thank you for going through that with me. Appreciate it.
Councillor Padeco?
One last question. If the car wash became kind of the make it or break it opportunity, would you consider removing the car wash from the proposal?
I would consider it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other questions for you gentlemen. Appreciate you spending time with us tonight. And thank you for the presentation.
Okay, so that might have been the public hearing for that car wash. And again, we are watching Cochrane live tonight because there will be a debate regarding a notice of motion to withdraw from the Partners for Climate Protection Program. And we're kind of waiting for that. So I have looked at the agenda. I've put a message out to Ron Voss, who I assume is in the gallery right now, just getting an idea of what time. Okay, let's weigh in on the car wash. See, we're making municipal politics interesting again, aren't we? Really important what's happening at the local level. It affects our lives. We can't just, complain when stuff happens if we're not showing up. But yeah, we are trying to get an idea of when the discussion will be tonight for. So I'm assuming now they're moving to the regular council meeting. It's really confusing because they had them both starting at 5:30 Mountain Time. And it is now, I would say, 6:30, about 6:30 Mountain Time now. So that went about an hour. And it looks like they do have some delegations and then some other business to go through. Let me share this with you so you can see the agenda. I like that, Harvey. Yes, I say let them run the car wash and oil change. But what do you think about that, honestly? It's going to have a lot of traffic downtown Cochrane. I'm not from Cochrane, so I don't know what their downtown looks like or what the vibe is down there. So let's look at this agenda and we'll figure it out. Some of you might want to join me later. Cochrane meeting information. There we go. So I'm assuming that they're moving into this now. You can see. I had the time right. I just kind of assumed we would have been through some of this already, but that's good. They had a public hearing. So you can see this is what we're waiting for. Notice of motion 6A, withdrawal from ICLEI and PCP. I'll show you this. Recommendation from Councillor Patrick Wilson. So he's going to be speaking to this tonight. He's going to be sharing some information from ICLEI, and I'm sure some information he's put together himself. And let me make that a little bit bigger. So this is a great example of something that we want to see all across our country. He kind of nailed it. So the recommended action, that council direct administration to cease participation in ICLEI programs. So all of them. He's not just suggesting the Partners for Climate Protection program. He's going for all of them at once. Or similar externally driven initiatives. Again, all of them, which is amazing, unless explicitly mandated by our elected body. So all the programs and partnerships that they have signed up for in previous councils, like this one. If you go back, you can watch, or if you check out the article, you can watch when this was presented to them in February by Ron Voss. They signed up in 2004 for this program, and this council had no idea that it was running in the background. So they want, this elected body wants to know what it is that they have signed up for, and that they're only participating in things that they have explicitly mandated as an elected body and council. And after full disclosure of their funding sources, objectives, and implications. That council directs administration to develop and implement clear guidelines restricting participation in externally influenced initiatives, ensuring transparent reporting on all collaborations with external entities, most especially through grant funding initiatives. And further, that council affirms its commitment to democratic transparency, autonomy, and prioritizing local interests over multinational corporate or external agendas. And then he has his executive summary. Resolution to withdraw from the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, ICLEI, Federation of Canadian Municipalities Partners Climate Protection Program, brought to my attention through a February 18th, 2025 delegation presentation to council from citizen group Watchdog, Dog with a Bone Society. It has gained my attention that the town of Cochrane is a member of both ICLEI and the FCM Partners for Climate Protection program. It has also come to my attention that the town of Cochrane has previously undertaken initiatives linked with this PCP program, electric buses and charging stations in particular. I suggest that we prioritize local decision-making over international mandates and the reallocation of resources towards initiatives that better serve the immediate needs of Cochrane residents. So that is his motion and his reasoning and further to his motion. So that's great. And so I would say right now, it'd be a great idea for us to just say a prayer, send some positivity towards Councillor Patrick Wilson. This is an amazing motion that he's put together, and he's going to be speaking about this tonight. And we want to make sure that, well, I think you all know what it's like to go up there and say what needs to be said, and it can be a little scary sometimes, but it looks like he has a pretty good handle on this, and he has this position for a reason. So I'm really excited to see that. So let's check it out where they are with this. So I have a feeling we're going to have to wait a bit longer.
School Board. And then the Heartland School and Horse Creek School, which I'm happy to report have actually increased in the 2026 three-year capital plan from Rocky Creek School Board from 4th and 5th respectively to 1st and 2nd on their priority list.
Okay, so they're going through some of the school board stuff, and it looks like they have quite a few agenda items before we get to this one. So Harvey, back to the car wash. Let's see what Harvey has to say. So I agree. I really liked his attitude where he said, you know, I want to go where I'm welcome. I don't want to come here and not be welcome and create a problem. I like that he said he'd be willing to give. We're talking about the developer of the car wash here in Cochrane that we were just watching. Yeah, that he'd give them their phone number and, you know, work things out with them. And he just seems like a pretty cool dude. So I agree with you, Harvey. What else did Harvey say? I'll stop about the car wash now. Yeah. Well, what should we do? Should we, I'm going to show you the agenda again, so you guys have an idea of where we're at. I'm going to keep it running live. There we go.
Following by construction.
So right now they are talking about the school building timeline. So I'm assuming that they're on item 5A. That means that they have a few more presentations. So let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So we might be an hour away from the discussion. I'm going to say 45 minutes because some of these might take a little bit less. So if you guys want to set your timer and come back in about 40 minutes and check, we do not want to miss this discussion. This is potentially a historic moment in Canadian municipal affairs, and we don't want to miss it. So I'm sitting here all night waiting for that discussion. And if you want to wait for it with me, you're welcome to do that. But I'm just giving you the heads up. You have probably about 45 minutes to do that. And as much as I would love to put on other delegations people have done and you know, share all sorts of things, I kind of want to keep the focus on Cochrane tonight, because when I pull this information later about Cochrane, I want it all in one spot and not cluttered up with a whole bunch of other amazing delegations that are happening. But if you've just joined, we are watching the town of Cochrane potentially withdraw from the Partners for Climate Protection program tonight. And those of you in Dufferin County in Ontario, I'll be speaking at the Ontario Landowners Association meeting in Dufferin County. That will be at the Laurel Church in Laurel tomorrow night, I think 7:30. You might want to show up around 7. And then we'll be speaking to the council in the county of Dufferin County, Thursday morning. So looking forward to that. And yeah, today was a big day in Peterborough County. We have a battery energy storage system company named Nexus going around looking for willing hosts for their lithium battery storage plants. And they did a presentation to Kevin Monaghan today. And I did send a really good letter about that. You can read the letter it's posted on my Facebook page today. And I went there, and the council seemed to have the same concerns that me or you would have. And they did a pretty good job resisting and not giving approval for the BESS facility. So if a BESS has been approved by City Council, is there a way to stop it? And that's the trouble, right? Once they get approved, it does become, then you're fighting with the council's ego, right? If you get in before approval, you're much more likely to be able to stop it. So if anyone has some examples of people being able to stop it after approval, that would be great. I know that there's a way. There's always a way to do anything. And I'm not sure if you're in the group that's been emailing me about the ones happening closer to Ottawa, but there is a group working there. So I'm not quite sure where you're from, Deborah. But yeah, it's a real problem once they get approved. It's a lot easier to shut this stuff down before it's approved. But what are some of the arguments I made? Let me see. Let me go to my article. So who tried but were stopped by the city of Ottawa? The company tried to set up the BESS, or the mayor tried? A little bit more information, Deborah. Okay, so the community tried to stop it, but were stopped by the city of Ottawa, mainly because Carney met with the mayor. And isn't that interesting? The federal government meeting with our mayors, right? And that's kind of the issue with all of this as well, is they're not supposed to be interfering with municipal politics, according to our Constitution. Section 92 states that municipalities are under the exclusive jurisdiction of the provinces. And yeah, I have a real problem with the prime ministers meeting with our mayors and influencing the projects here. If you want to post a link to that City of Ottawa Council meeting, I think a lot of us would be interested in that. I certainly, I take an interest in everything, but then when it kind of hits closer to home, I really get into it. So I'm glad that I got a heads up about this presentation today in Cavan Monaghan, because it got me actually really researching into the BESS and what they're all about. So yeah, if you could find that, that'd be great, Deborah. I'll share my article that I wrote, or open letter that I wrote. On the BESS project, since we're on that. So this is from today. I sent it to them late last night. Open letter to the township of Cavan Monaghan, but you guys could send something similar to your communities. This is why we have to watch the agenda, right? So I'm urging them to not go ahead with this project, and pointing out that this company is basically doing a province-wide campaign, going around and promoting their project. It's not really a local partnership per se. It is an effort to basically go around to all the different municipalities, mainly, of course, rural, and look for low resistance approvals. So today at the council meeting in Cavan, at the end, he was like, so, where do you stand on this? And the Mayor Graham was basically, we are not open to considering approving this at this time. We would need more information, and so on. So that was good. So that's what they're doing. They're shopping around for approvals, and we need to be aware of this all across the country, that these companies are looking for places to park their lithium batteries for the next 20 years. They want to have all of these installed by 2030, and they will decommission them around 2050. And they're just going to lease land. They're not going to buy it. So that's an issue. Obviously, we know that the lithium batteries require a certain kind of fire response and specialized suppression tactics. And there's lots of examples of major incidents with these facilities. A lot of toxic smoke can require evacuations and so on. And the company is only covered for the liability so much. Like in the case of a massive evacuation and all that smoke, that toxic smoke going into the air, and all the lawsuits that might come out of this and so on, a lot of that cost will fall on the municipality. And yeah, the company will only cover so much as far as their insurance. Obviously, lithium batteries are not green, even though this is being sold to us as part of a clean energy transition. The reality is that most lithium is mined in South America, China, Africa, and they use high impact methods that deplete water, destroy landscapes, and often violate labor and human rights codes. These are environmentally and ethically troubling global supply chains. They do have a carbon footprint, of course, mining, refining, overseas shipping, and on-site maintenance, and then eventually disposal. The system carries a massive carbon cost that undermines any local environmental benefit. And they last typically about 10 to 15 years. And then, of course, they need to be decommissioned, and they'd have to look at a recycling agreement and, you know, who's responsible for cleaning that up at the end of the day. And this is the big one, you know, who profits and who pays? What is this even all about, right? So Nexus Energy is a private company, and it has investors who profit from buying electricity cheap and selling it high. So this is actually grid speculation, and it is not a local service. So the local community does not benefit from allowing this company to take up an acre or two of its land and put its lithium batteries down to suck energy out of the grid when it's cheap and to sell it back when it's expensive. So at the same time, local residents would bear the cost, the emergency service burden, the property value risks. Their property values would go down if they're anywhere near this. Their insurance would go up. And there's, again, no guarantee that this energy would supply that community in emergencies. It would go to the highest bidder. So this is not a public utility or a local investment. It is a private venture with all the upside centralized and all the risks localized. So I wrote this out. It's kind of our recommendation, you know, an appeal to protect Cavan Monaghan, and a reminder that they are not obligated by the province to approve this project and that the decision is theirs. And then I left them with a little sample motion to decline this project. So they don't even have to think too hard about doing what it is that we would want them to do. So I'll drop a link to that article, and feel free to use those arguments in your communications with your council. Just a reminder, there is a ICLEI Zoom meeting, national Zoom meeting coming up next Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern, and you can register for that meeting. I'm going to just maybe take you over there, the ICLEI website, if you haven't seen it in a little while. You look at this, we can fill some time. So there's been a few little changes and tweaks on our main page. Basically here are on this side are the newest articles on ICLEI's Substack, and so you can keep checking that. There's a lot of good stuff there. CO2 calculator, and here's where you will find a link to register for our national Zoom meeting. It's the last Monday of every month, And here's a really great ChatGPT tool that I've designed that kind of takes away ChatGPT's innate bias, as well as is infused with all this information about ICLEI and the UN and the Partners for Climate Protection Program and FCM and what our issue is with everything. You can get some great merch if you're on the site. I really like the tote bags. I went to the meeting today and I just brought the tote bag. It's a perfect item to have to go to council with. And I like just to bring my notebook, take notes, and you'll be able to, it'll help you to find councillors that are on side with you. And like today, I'm pretty sure that not every councillor there in Kevin Monaghan always agrees with everything that I send them, but I'm pretty sure they appreciated me sending information to them about the BEST project and showing up today with, you know, in support of them pushing back on the BEST project. And just having that Kickley bag is kind of a classy way to show that, you know, you are pushing for localism over globalism. And if I take you there, I'm just going to click on that for a second. There's actually, are you there? Okay, good. On the back side of it, it says localism over globalism. And these bumper stickers, I like that for the back of my computer as well. Yeah. There's a few things there. Been playing around with that. I really like the big cups as well. That's fun. Okay, I'm going to go back to the main page. And show you guys this part. Yeah. As always, we'd really appreciate anyone who can kick in even $5, $20 a month, or just a one-time donation. If you want to be kind of a founding member and put in a larger chunk, that would be very much appreciated to keep us going. We are definitely on the winning side here. Things are definitely moving forward. Like we saw with Lethbridge, they just saved $63 million by reducing their greenhouse gas reduction target from 40% to 20%. And this is just one municipality. That's just their corporate emissions. That's not even their communities. So yeah, this is a movement that is potentially going to save our country hundreds of billions of dollars. And right now, you know, I'm so passionate about this that I'll just keep going no matter what. But we have hired an assistant, and before we got her in full swing, I made the big mistake of trying to upgrade everyone across both Substacks. So if somebody had paid on one Substack, I wanted them to have a paid subscription on the other, because we have Kickley for the councillors information and Gather 2030 for us, right? For our kind of more strategic, inspirational stuff. And when I did that, I accidentally comped everyone with a free subscription. And I don't know how to undo that. So I basically lost a little chunk of change that was supposed to go to pay for the assistant that is helping me with so much right now, so that I can actually just focus on doing this, which I'm loving to do. So if anyone wants to kick in some extra funds, always very much appreciated. So you can do that there. You can also go to let me show you. There's other ways you can also kick in. Hopefully you can see this. Yep. Okay, so if you go to the donate tab at the top and scroll down, there's other ways that you can pitch in. Obviously, you can upgrade your Substack subscriptions. You can shop our merchandise. That helps. But there's also an e-transfer to maggiehopebraun@gmail.com. And there's also a P.O. box if you would like to mail a check. You can mail it to Maggie Braun, or Bronze Advocacy and Consulting. So that is officially set up as a business now. And I'm trying to move everything into that. So I will update that on the website now that I've set that up. So it goes to the right spot. Okay. Let's check in with the meeting. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. We are waiting for Cochrane to potentially withdraw from the Partners for Climate Protection Program. Woohoo! All right, just gonna check.
That's good. Couple more questions I had. You did mention that it's possible to have a larger setback. Couple more questions closer to the other school.
Through the mayor, Councillor Flowers, absolutely.
I'll show you where we are
Things,
in the meeting
you know,
and figure it out together.
cautioning and speaking on behalf of the applicant here a little bit without confirmation with them, but I'm confident that they would be willing to consider those type of unique considerations in the design phase. And one of the things administration would look to mitigate concerns identified by the public, ensuring that the one-story component of the
I'm not sure.
facility would remain as close to the residents, not as close as they could, but on the west side with the second story gym component located as far from the adjacent buildings as possible.
It's those people along there that I'm most concerned about because it will really affect them. So the more we could do to help that, the better. I went through all my notes from the public hearing and all the letters we received. People are passionate both ways about this school going there. In the end, I believe that the need outweighs the concerns. Yes, there is a lot. The buses are already coming there 180 days a year, so they would be fuller than they were before. It avoids a lot of duplication. And the buses are already funded, so it would be good to use them to capacity. As I drove around West Valley, I was reminded there's a great deal of green space in this community, including the skate park and the dog parks and all that they have. Someone mentioned that the space is not really being taken away. It's being used in a different way, and I have to agree with this. We need schools. I'm in favor of this plan.
Councillor
First of all, I want to start off by thanking all the public for their engagement, whether you're on the for side or you're on the against side. Like Councillor Flowers stated, this is probably one of the hardest ones to kind of wade through. However, I will not be endorsing the letter of support right now for the Frank suit. It doesn't mean that I'm against a letter of support, period. I'm just not for supporting this particular land person. I believe that we've missed maybe some ongoing conversation that I think would help me to get there. However, when I asked the question about looking at portables perhaps to expand space, when I asked about, no different than the ongoing expansion at Bow Valley High School, who also is looking to expand their core site to be able to add more room. Then there was a whole topic about perhaps we just didn't look at all the land parcels available. I completely understand the Francasude's idea that they want to have their kids go to school from, I'm assuming daycare all the way to grade 12 at some point on the same land parcel. However, as a parent of 3 children, I can say many families in Cochrane have never had that opportunity. I guess unless you're Francasude, maybe you have that opportunity, but everybody else in the public or Catholic system has not. We get changed due to boundary designations all the time, and we have to move our kids who, grew up with their friends, have family in the same school, now they have to go to different schools. It's just kind of a reality of where we are in the education system, as well as overcrowding in classrooms. My kids have also had to take, they don't get to do band because they have to have a class that's have to occur in the music room. Those things are all things that as a parent, I've had to deal with having my kids in the regular school system. I would like administration to go back to the drawing board to take a look at other land parcels to explore the idea of putting portables on this particular site. I also walk the land, and I don't want to say it's a not my backyard situation, but I can understand the residents who live there. If I were to all of a sudden live in an area that, yes, we all know that it could be a school, it's not about the Franco-Sud school, it's about any school. I would not want to look up and open up my door and see a brick wall facing me. I wouldn't. The landmass and overall was not designed in my mind to have 3 schools on it. It's not big enough. Never mind the parking concerns, never mind the safety concerns. The list goes on and on. So for that, please go back to the drawing board. I would love to be able to endorse this. It's just not that particular site. Perhaps maybe a different site could be located where you could build an expanded footprint and have everybody in the same school all on one area. This is just not the right fit for me, as well as I agree with Councillor Reid. One of the biggest problems that I have is that once council endorses this, and if they get the go ahead for funding and design, council then does not see the information that comes on the other side. Doesn't matter the traffic studies. We just have to try, hope and pray that everything's looked after, and that to me is not good enough. I think that we owe our residents more.
Councillor McFadden?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, but first I did want to echo my appreciation to all the residents for the emails and the conversations and the engagement in being here tonight. So thank you very much for all of that. So a couple of questions for me. So it's a tight spot. And so one of the things that seems most reasonable to me would be, to add on to the existing school or portables, these type of conversations. But that's not feasible in this site. Because of the province's P3 funding model, is that the barrier?
Through the mayor, Councillor McFadden is correct.
Yeah, okay. So, that's frustrating that it's just a provincial funding model that is keeping us from kind of doing the easiest thing. And then the next step of this, so if council were to endorse a letter of support, then would move to the provincial side of the equation. And then if they approved funding, it would just go to our development team for approval and to work through any concerns that they might have. So the short of that is this would never come back to council for any direction about setbacks or any of those type of concerns or questions.
Through the mayor to Councillor McFadden, there's a bunch of nuance in there, I believe. I just want to clarify. One of them is a commitment by administration as well, that of course we're always willing to share any information on applications with council upon request. So we'd be more than willing to proactively consider this a request by council to share some of those studies to ensure that council was informed as the design was developed and the studies were received from the applicant. Another component of that we've had some initial conversations with, I'm sure you can imagine the planning services team has been working quite busily on this to try and consider any permutations and of course not getting the cart in front of the horse at the same time. But I mean, if we start looking at reducing setback requirements to try and bring the new school as close as possible to the existing school, even limiting, and that's part of the increasing the setback even further from the western properties, possibly upwards of 25 meters, where our initial kind of back of the envelope calculations there. We could look at doing that even further if we start looking at setbacks that exceed the variance allowable within the land use bylaw, at which point the application may have to go to Cochrane Planning Commission, which would then involve 2 members of council as well. So lots of opportunities, as well as the opportunity, of course, for council to participate in the additional open houses to help form and structure the design. Of course, administration serves at the purview of council as well, so always takes the direction of council under consideration. We'd also be willing to come back to a committee of the whole in the future in order to provide additional information once we have the detailed studies and the design for consideration.
Okay. And there's so what I'm hearing from you is administration's commitment to even though it's not part of the structure, to keep council informed and to do its absolute level best to engage and reflect the community's concerns and council's concerns as well.
Through the mayor, Councillor McFadden, that is correct. I think one of the things we would always strive to do, but particularly in this case, is minimize the impact to to any of the concerns previously expressed as much as possible, both reasonably, financially, and feasibly, to ensure that we got to a point that would minimize any potential impact on adjacent owners. I want to kind of emphasize that administration is committed to not treating this as a win-lose opportunity, but try to reduce any potential loss as much as reasonably possible to address a critical concern.
Right, and there's no way for council to put direct control on this site. If we give this letter of support, it's pretty much passed into the process?
Through the mayor, Councillor McFadden, that's not an avenue that we have considered. I think it would just, it would be really tight for us to go down the road of looking at doing a land use amendment on the site and have everything prepared prior to our council freeze midway through September. So the short answer is not without introducing, at minimum, I would say probably a 6 to 12 month delay in advancing this opportunity for Franco-Sud.
And do we think the province or the ministry would allow us to put direct control limitations on it?
Through the mayor, Councillor McFadden, that's not an alternative that frankly I've thought about till you proposed it, about whether they would allow it to. I believe that's within our purview to do our land use on the site, to add those additional restrictions. However, I think we can get to the same place without a direct control as well, responding to the studies and the concerns of the public, which are all in the public realm now, and I think we're all very well aware of.
Councillor McFadden, if I can too, I think one of the important things for council to realize is if this letter of support was provided, the province is going to do their own assessment of this site as well. So as part of their evaluation, they're going to be asking a series of critical questions on the viability of this site. And then certainly then if they approve the funding for this, then there would be a number of studies, which are all the answers that I think people are looking for. So whether it's the traffic impact assessment, there's been questions about stormwater. So that's certainly one of the things that we took into consideration with our evaluation as well.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That's it for questions at this time.
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. I had notes and opinions here right before that, until that last question was asked, and it did give me a little bit of food for thought. Originally, my take on this was simply that I disagree with administration right now. I'm not satisfied that there's sufficient space available at the proposed site. I agree with dozens of local residents, households on this. However, of course, like others, I care about Franco-Sud finding their future site at a more appropriate location. And so my first question that I had for administration, at least until that last conversation, is why not Horse Creek? What opportunities exist there? We just, as a community, paid $11 million for stripping and grading to get that site ready sooner than later. What does the Horse Creek site look like? Is that a possible opportunity for the school in the future?
Through the mayor to Councillor Wilson, some of the principles that we used in helping support Franco-Sud in identifying a potential site was avoiding impacting existing sites that were currently used by another school board, as well as avoiding impact to sites that were planned by another school board. So we did look at sites, for example, like Heartland. However, that was denied by Rocky View School District, as that was quickly becoming their highest priority. With respect to Horse Creek Sports Park, I would look to possibly my colleague Drew Hyman to provide additional insight on it. However, I can confirm as well, we didn't want to bring forward, we brought forward a request for the preferred option in the preferred site by Franco-Sud, that there was a preferred alternative, which is what we see before you as well. If this is not supported by council, I think the next steps would be to look at all alternatives, not limited to Horse Creek Sports Park or St. Tim's, but every potential opportunity of undeveloped land, 4.5 acres or larger within the community, that even if it doesn't have the appropriate land use, could go through a land use in order to provide the appropriate land use to change it. It's just that wouldn't help address the gap in capacity issues today. That would likely extend even beyond that 6 to 12 month process that we talked about even for doing a control district.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilson, my only comments on Horse Creek is there's 30 acres that is intended to go to or that is owned by the Rocky View School Division. So that's on their list in terms of the high school. They don't need all 30 acres for the high school. Certainly that would be something that they would have to potentially explore opportunities on that 30 acres. In terms of the balance of the 125 acres that Cochrane owns, we are looking at opportunities for recreation. That's a growing need in our community, and I wouldn't want to change course in terms of that. But to complement the items that Mr. Krasinski said, If council wishes, we could explore all sites within our community, which is something that is available to us as well.
Okay, excellent. Just a few more, two more questions here, and then I'll just get to my quick opinion. And that's, you mentioned 2 public accesses earlier in the presentation. I count Quigley Drive, and what's the other one to the school site?
Just the south. I'm just trying to bring up a community map image here for you. There's one other access. I don't have the name of the road on the tip of my tongue right now. I do apologize. But there's one just south of Quigley Drive as well. Same area of the community on the east side. So we're looking.
I believe he's referring through the chair to the access by the skate park area there. So south of the GM dealership as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It might be semantics, but in my mind, that all filters on to Quigley Drive, so that's just one access. However, I don't know that that's necessarily the one set or feature that kills this this whole decision in my mind. So what's interesting to me is what we just talked about, which was greatly decreasing setbacks and sending the proposal to CPC, which essentially means even if you can't add on to the current building, you're building a second building so close to the current one that it's almost like you're doing the portable thing. That's the kind of idea that gets me interested. The current proposal in front of me tonight isn't something that gets me interested. I don't think there's enough room on the site for it. And so I would probably petition council to go with option 2 here tonight, which is to send this back to administration and come back with us with either a alternative site somewhere in Cochrane that makes more sense than this one, or a new building proposal which makes more sense on this very limited site. Those are the 2 ideas that interest me tonight. But as it sits currently, I agree with the local residents on their opinion on this.
Through the mayor, Councillor Wilson, if I may, I think the option of going to CPC still exists through this. It's just we'd want that to follow an evidence-based, data-driven model based on the studies that we received through the application process and amendments to the design. It's really more just a commentary on the potential alternatives available to any applicant for any development permit.
Thank you for bringing that up. If I may, it does bring one other comment then, and that's the same as Councillor Fedeko, where she said, as soon as we endorse the letter of support, it sounds to me like council's ability to control what happens next is limited. We might get updates, but there's no control left. Is that correct? Or where is our next piece of control? Should we approve this letter tonight? If you have my opinion, which is the current proposal is untenable, either I'd need to see dramatic setback decreases and adding on to the current facility almost with a separate building, or a whole new site chosen. Where does our control still lie if we give the letter of support tonight?
Through the mayor, Councillor Wilson, administration would never want to approve anything without having endorsement and support with council for it. So I think, indirectly through having those conversations and touch points with council, we'd be incorporating that feedback into a development permit application process and decision at that time. So again, it'd be a commitment from administration not to be looking to diverge from council, while also protecting a bit of the integrity of our current land use bylaw and not creating a wedge that reduces the delegated authority long-term on all applications, which enables the organization to work more efficiently over time as well.
If I may, sorry, Mr. Heineman, through the chair to Councillor Wilson, I think one of the elements here is that ultimately any letter of support from council is authored by council and can say whatever council would prefer it to say. And one of the considerations that was considered is moderating the letter of support to, say something as in an approval through the planning stage of the process, which is still an option. I think the evaluation that was made there is that in the incredibly competitive space of communities seeking school sites all across the province, there's really, really high need that any moderation of those sites may make the application unattractive to the province for funding as part of it. So I really just highlight this to the point that administration has certainly considered what those types of moderations on the letter would look like to give council additional touch points and those types of things, and determined that that would likely render the application quite ineffective at the provincial level. I just didn't want to leave that unidentified. And as well as I just sharing that, I would also just note as well that for clarity's sake, I just want to all parties to be perfectly clear. And this is not an administratively driven exercise. This is being generated from our partners at the Franco Sud School Division, and administration is just supporting that process as best as we possibly can. In a perfect world, I would love the idea of being able to successfully access funding for the planning that would answer a lot of these questions. It feels like that's going to be a little bit difficult to do through the provincial process because of the great need everywhere. There's all kinds of projects that don't have those kind of limitations that would likely get funded ahead of this one.
Okay, well, it leaves me with I'll just communicate to the bench what my thoughts are and how we get there. I think I'll leave it's somebody else's vehicle because I don't know the right answer. But the current proposal in front of us, I don't think is tenable in the current location. But if it were to come back to me with a building that's more disappear our own land use bylaw setbacks because it's essentially a school on a school, it's the same school. So why would we have dramatic setbacks needed? Let's figure out a creative solution there to get it on this site or find a whole new site. But as it currently sits, I'm not pleased with it and wouldn't vote for it. So I don't know if the bench has the idea of what the vehicle is to achieve that result, but that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wilson. Before maybe we go around the bench, I'll weigh in with my thoughts. Obviously the need for schools is real in our community. That's not in question here tonight. Many of my colleagues have mentioned that. One of the things I was hoping to hear tonight, and I did have a conversation with our MLA around the relatively new funding mechanism for schools, pre-planning, design, and construction. Two of those, the latter two, sit with infrastructure, and the first one with education. So I learned that, but it was still even unclear to MLA Guthrie where that threshold is. So it aligns with your presentation tonight, Mr. Krasinski, about it's an unknown whether the province would approve pre-planning so that we would have some of these questions answered. So for me, that leaves a huge gap. And I think we're potentially creating a future problem by endorsing a school here. And I think to speak to your question, Councillor Wilson, around moving the school site further or closer to the existing, I think solves some of the issues. But for me, this really comes down to parking. I'm really concerned with parking in the neighborhood, and and I was kind of flipping back and forth in the public hearing between, okay, we're going to have these students on existing buses. But essentially and as someone who goes to public events, I struggle to park for a public event in that area at one of the schools currently. And I know those are one-offs, but they're real impacts on that neighborhood. And so for that reason, whether we change and go to a CPC or a really condensed offset, it doesn't address the parking concerns. And I think while this was a innovative way of looking to efficiently use land, I think the fact, and Councillor Reid, you kind of mentioned this in your comments about shoehorning in something. I think the impacts to the existing neighborhood is too great to take the risk on the next steps for me. So I'm not in favor of a letter of endorsement at this time. What I would like to do, and it's something you were mentioning, I think all of us would like to see, is continued conversation with administration, with Franco Sud, and potentially a partnership with another entity or even the town itself on a future piece of land that maybe even we own at this point that we could partner on and have a multi-use development there. I know that that's a longer time frame, but I really worry about the future concerns that we might be creating when that school is at full capacity in 10 years or 15 years. The events that would be driven there, whether it be sporting or Christmas concerts, etc. I think we're already trying to find innovative ways to mitigate parking, whether it be parking passes, and I just think we're going to have a whole lot of headaches. So I would rather see that on a future site or a different site. And with the understanding that the traffic that we're generating with a high school is going to have to go somewhere. So that wasn't lost on me in that public hearing either, that the traffic the increase in traffic has got to go somewhere in our community, whether, and I really appreciate the resident that brought up well, we're talking about putting it in someone else's neighborhood. Well, what about the impacts on that neighborhood? So again, I think I would rather be looking, and I know that that's a wish that we can't fulfill tonight, but in the absence of the information of how high, how close, how much traffic, I just don't feel comfortable in signing a letter of support for this at this time. And again, that's with a heavy heart, because I know there's a need and we need to put this somewhere. So I think endorsing administration to go and help Brinko Sud look for an alternate location is where I would land tonight. But I mean, open to suggestions, Councillor Reid or McFadden, if you have anything further to add.
Yeah, well, just a couple things. I was trying to find a mechanism to move forward, but I wanted to make comment to Mr. Hyman's due diligence comment about Alberta Ed. And this is not reflected at Drew. It's actually a reflection of Alberta Ed. So the comment was that Alberta Ed would do its due diligence in terms of this site. We actually know that there's a school that was built in this province when the province found out subsequently that the municipality didn't own the land, right? And so, to suggest that Alberta Ed does its due diligence really is a question in my mind. The other comment is, and I may have this wrong, and the mayor correct me, but in a meeting with Reeve Kissel today, the Reeve of Rocky View County, she suggested that what she heard was that new high schools would require 30 acres of land, which seems outrageous, but coming from the source, I wouldn't be surprised. So in moving forward, I'm trying to find a motion that would suggest that we refer this back to, I think it's option 2, Patrick? Refer this back to administration for further work. And I don't know, did you make the motion or are you?
I
Okay.
don't think there's actually a motion on the floor yet.
Okay, I would move option 2 then.
I'm just trying to find it in our notes here.
Do work on it more.
So, Councillor Reid, can you be more clear on what your motion would be? Refuses proposed transfer and directs administration to work, or?
Just as you said it. I propose that administration go back and work looking at both the potential site with a revised diagram, or more appropriately, I think, look for an alternative site.
Mr. Mayor, the language you used was continued conversation and partnerships on other properties.
Yeah. Okay, so refuse and keep looking? Okay. Councillor McFadden.
So to the proposed motion, I support that. I was really trying to find a way to say yes to this because we all win, our kids all win if the sooner we can find school solutions. So I was really trying to find a way to get comfortable saying yes to this. And I just can't, because any of the securities commitments, all those questions that we want to be able to answer for our residents, we just can't until the studies are done. So it just gets out of sequence to be able to give any security at all to the residents or all those pieces. So
hey everyone. As you can see, we are watching Cochrane tonight. So that debate about the Francophone school has gone on for an hour. You can see how municipal politics, some of these meetings are at least 6 hours long, right? And at the same time, this is where important stuff happens. So judging by the agenda that was just up on the screen, they have several other items to get through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more items before they get to the motion to withdraw from the Partners for Climate Protection Program. So what I'm going to suggest everyone does is take an hour and come back and watch, and I'll jump on when we get to the end, near the end of the item that is just before the one that we are interested in tuning into tonight, if that makes sense. So I think Shadow Davis just started. Maybe you want to hop over there and come back and see me afterwards. I will be here and looking forward to watching this together with everyone. But I think for the sake of all of our time and not wasting it, we're going to just take a little break and come back in an hour. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah. Some meetings are 9 hours long. So yeah, let's go cool ourselves down a little bit here and regroup in 1 hour. So let's say 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. See you soon. All right. See you soon, everyone. Much love. And let's watch some history tonight. So even if you miss it tonight, come back and watch the live stream tomorrow and check it out. Okay. See you soon.